Hi everyone, today at RSS we are recording the Green Chemistry podcast series under the Global Green Chem program. In this series, we will be unlocking the potential of green chemistry, supporting policymakers, industries, innovation and startups, and academia to scale locally and regionally. Let's start. Greetings from the Royal Scientific Society. Welcome to the Green Chemistry Promises podcast series. Today, I want to welcome Mr. Mohammad Obaidat, our guest speaker, the director at the Queen Rania Center for Entrepreneurship. We're going to speak about when science means business, the accelerator imperative. Mr. Mohammad Obaidat, I would like to welcome you, is an innovation entrepreneurship consultant with 15 plus years of experience shaping startup ecosystems in Jordan and the region. He serves as a director of the Queen Rania Center for Entrepreneurship at Princess Sumaya University for Technology, with expertise in fundraising, monitoring, and operations and strategic planning. Certified by global programs such as Kaufman Fast Track and Growth Wheel, he holds an MSc in Innovation and Technology Management from the University of Bath. Fluent in Arabic and English, he advises startups and organizations across Jordan, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia, and actively serves on boards advancing entrepreneurship. Welcome, Mohammad Obaidat.
Ahlan.
We're happy to have you today.
Cheers.
To start with, Mr. Mohammad, could you give me a brief introduction about your role as an incubation director and ecosystem builder? So what do you do exactly? What's your impact within this ecosystem of Jordan? Please give us a brief about that.
Well, the main objectives of Queen Rania Center for Entrepreneurship when it comes to entrepreneurs is technically working with them on a daily basis, helping them either building a business model, validating it, testing it with the market, and as well trying to match them with potential partners, clients, and opening opportunities for them, whether in the Jordanian market or outside Jordan.
Interesting. So since we're speaking about green chemistry and sustainability in general, becoming increasingly a relevant topic and a growing market, how do you see the ecosystem from your experience in terms of its maturity, in terms of its status in Jordan? You know, ICT is kind of dominating. It's maturing very fast. It's a very dynamic and also growing market, emerging market. But also green growth and sustainability is a crucial topic for Jordan with its commitments, whether global or even national. So how do you see the market in a nutshell? Is it actually positive? Are we optimistic about it?
Optimistic for sure. That's what entrepreneurship is about. We're always optimistic. We're seeing challenges as opportunities that we can tackle. Is it mature enough when it comes to sustainability and sustainable development startups? Still, we need a lot of work, honestly. Whether when it comes to the regulations, whether when it comes to the funding opportunities that are available, or when it comes to the even the expertise and the type of support that the startups need when it comes to mentorship and guidance. But still, I believe there are great things that are happening. For the past maybe 5 years, a lot of projects are focusing on sustainability. We're talking today about green chemistry, green economy. We're talking about blue economy recently. So a lot of initiatives are happening. So I believe there is a very good thing that we can see, hopefully, the results of it or the fruits of it in the coming future.
You mentioned so many actually challenges, or you hinted towards so many challenges that you foresee within this ecosystem. So the question is, as a startup, an early stage, I would say, builder for a lot of these ideations, a lot of these, I would say, potential businesses that could really overtake in the market, what do you guys do to support them? So how does the ecosystem work? So as an incubator, as an accelerator, what gap are you filling to make these startups really reach the market and really stand on their feet on their own and move forward in their business?
Well, there are several aspects, I would say. starting with the people who are coming to us with ideas only and they want to validate whether these ideas can make sense or not. What we start with is trying to give them a platform where they can do prototyping, testing, and validation. And here comes the role of the incubator of connecting those people with organizations that could support, such as the Royal Scientific Society. This is why we believe that bringing together our entrepreneurs with the academia, with the R&D centers, with the labs, could help them validate and test. And that's the main role that we start with when it comes to ideas. After that, we move with them to the other stages, which is technically we're taking it from just an idea to an actual product that can be sold. At that stage, the funding is a big challenge, to be honest. We start with them with grants. We provide them a lot of granting opportunities, whether through us or through our partners or the government programs that are available when it comes to grants. And that's the stage where we're trying to validate the product, prove the pain, and make sure that there is a product market fit when it comes to the startup itself. Then the role of securing mentors, coaches who can help those scientists think more of a business. A challenge that we've always seen is those scientists, they're coming from a science background, they're very far away from startup world, from business world. They don't really understand the dynamics of building a business. So we try to connect them with a lot of mentors, coaches, people with expertise in the industry to help them understand how to do it and how to make things actually not just a product or a small research work, but it's actually a product that you can sell. You can build a business around it. You can make a company out of it. And that's a big role, I would say, from the support that we're offering. After that, it becomes more of a matching with investors who hopefully would be interested in these companies.
You mentioned the word pain, and that brings me to another dimension or a different aspect. So where do you see really green chemistry or sustainability startups struggle mainly in this?
Many challenges. Maybe the first one is we're trying to make the ecosystem understand that these are products. The commercialization of lab research in Jordan into actual businesses is very limited. We don't have that much of experience when it comes to it. And we don't have that much of collaboration with the industry for testing and validation. So that's a big challenge they face, honestly. So that's number one. Number two, when it comes to the raw material they would require to do the testing and validation. When it comes to green chemistry, it's easier. Maybe you could get the resources from the local market, but if you couldn't, you still need to import this material. A startup cannot really go through the import and export such as the large companies. They can't afford it that easy, I would say. It's not just expensive, but it requires a lot of regulations for them to get validation and get the products or the raw material within the Jordanian border. So that's another challenge that they face. The third challenge is convincing the investors that actually this is a business that can scale. Investors in Jordan, you just mentioned, they started with the ICT industry and they've been working with the ICT industry for a long time. It's easier, quicker, they can see the fruits in front of their eyes within a year or a year and a half.
There's a governmental interest.
There's a governmental interest. But when it comes to sustainability or when it comes to green chemistry in particular, for example, it's a vague industry for those investors. So they're trying to see some real success stories before they put or jump into it to invest more.
Looking at things, most of these startups we've supported. You've been in a lot of mentorship sessions, and you've seen so many of these startups. Do you think that they're kind of too ambitious? Maybe they're not actually answering the problems. They're not actually answering the calls of the industry or the market?
That's a very good question. Here we go even before we start calling them entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
When we go and start talking to the students or to the people who would like to become an entrepreneur and start a business, there is a lack of understanding for what it is. When they look at it, like when it comes to sustainability in general, we've been working for a very long time with a lot of entrepreneurs. When it comes to creating a new product, that's very innovative. But when we go to the students or we go to the local community and start working with them for sustainability, they're just talking about, for example, recycling or upcycling. And when they talk about recycling, it's not really pure recycling. It's more of upcycling kind of activities. They don't see the bigger picture. They don't understand the technicalities of cradle to cradle, for example, or going through the cycle of building something of material that can be very unique and could add a great value to the people without harming the environment, or understanding the whole value chain of the business itself. Many of them, they come up with ideas to solve a sustainable problem, but they're causing a lot of harm on the other hand on another place. It could be for the environment, it could be for the people or the cost or the economics. And that's a thing that I believe we still need to do a lot of awareness and education for the
It could be actually solving the symptom and not the problem itself.
Exactly. And that causes a lot of problems for us, honestly. So this is not with the entrepreneurs, I would say. This is even before when we work with
the ideation stage.
At the ideation stage.
It's interesting. So as accelerators, we try to de-risk this, and you've mentioned we need to work on this. We need to capacitate them. We need to actually create awareness. We need to sit with them. They need to also do their own research to make sure that they're ready before entering this whole field. What is the strongest disconnect that you see today between research, startups, consultants, experts, and also industry?
The biggest challenge we see, first of all, is the scientist being able to communicate with the business people, to be honest. It's the language. For us, I've been in the incubation field for a long time. For us, it's business. We talk business model, we talk profit, we talk customers. For the scientists, they're talking science. They're talking impact all the time, which is not bad, but we need to link that impact with the actual profit-making activities. And that's actually a conversation we've had with many scientists when we start talking to them about the business model and how they start generating revenue, or whether the customers are liking it or not. They tell us that I don't really care much about that. I care about the impact that my science will do. But honestly, if you're making a great impact with the science that you're doing, but it's not making you money, then you won't be able to continue. So you have to make sure that there is money coming out of it for you in order for you to be able to sustain it and scale it.
That's how we call this session, where science meets business. And that's the crucial part that we usually struggle with. So let's unlock opportunities. We spoke about the ecosystem. We spoke about the challenges that we see that exist. So we are being realistic, but let's be a bit also optimistic and let's look at what could be there to actually utilize and grasp and untap as opportunities. In terms of market and investment, do you see that the green chemistry, since things are becoming more compliance driven, and a lot of companies, they need to report sustainability, they need to do stuff. The market is going for that. The government has to report about this at the global scale. So could that be a competitive edge? Could that be a motivator for these startups? And what else actually drives someone to go scientific in his business? When, business startups will usually, I want to just sell a product because people want it. But then there's other dimensions, environment, sustainability, other ethical maybe dimensions that really market your product. So,
honestly, this is exactly the point that we're trying to teach the entrepreneurs in this field about. Number one, the customer has to like it, has to want it in order for them to pay for it. But that doesn't mean it has to be harmful. So we're seeing a lot of Generation Z people, or even the younger ones, they started to see the value of being unharmful for the environment. So they're caring more about making sure that their product is not really doing any kind of harm. So that's a market opportunity. There is an interest, and we're seeing a growing interest when it comes to that. Another thing that I can see, there is a great opportunity for the people in the green chemistry industry, or maybe in the sustainability in general. The costs of manufacturing would be much easier for them because they're talking about natural resources rather than processed material. A lot of people I know would say, no, natural resources would cost more. As a matter of fact, when you look at the whole value chain, it's not really that much. You would be able to create a better product, good for the environment, good for the people, without really costing you that much. Another thing, it's opening a great opportunity. Today, many of our entrepreneurs are working in the manufacturing. Whenever they want to export to the EU, for example, they have to be compliant. A lot of regulations are being put globally from the EU, from other countries, telling you cannot export this product to my country unless it's compliant with sustainability regulations, with environmental protection acts and things like that. So this is a great opportunity for our entrepreneurs to consider. And we started seeing a lot of our entrepreneurs actually working on that, which is beautiful.
It's not actually an option anymore.
It's not an option. It's not which is fine, honestly. It's a great opportunity, actually. They can make something out of it. But I want to tell you an example. One of our entrepreneurs, she was working with the cosmetics industry, and she managed to create this kind of new deodorant with all natural material, and the same effectiveness of the chemical kind of deodorants. She managed to convince people in the US to sell it for them just because it's natural. And she saw a great opportunity over there. Accordingly, she started building that business to face or to meet these expectations from the American market.
It's interesting because I wanted to ask you actually from the lens of investors. So how do they look at sustainability topics, green chemistry? Because that's a question of every startup. It's like, I'm not going to find someone who's going to pay for something that is natural because they know that this is, okay, that's a famous unfortunately narrative about sustainability, that everything is expensive when it comes to sustainability, whether it's the raw materials, whether it's a product. You cannot really find customers because no one cares about it. So from an investor's lens, how do you see that? And also, as an accelerator and incubator, how do you de-risk the investment? How do you support such startups to make sure that the investor doesn't look at that risk actually, rather he looks at it as an opportunity?
If we go back in time to Maktoub's story, the online platform of Jordan, at that time there wasn't that much of online platforms in Jordan. The .com bubble wasn't here. But the success of Maktoub got people more excited about it to explore and got people more excited about investing in the ICT industry, right? So this great success story was the attractor for the investors. What we are trying to do right now as accelerators or as business incubators, to push for a new success story in this domain. This is why, for example, we talk about this woman who made the deodorant. This is why we talk another young Jordanian who created detergent out of natural material. We're trying to create these success stories because an investor eventually would see numbers.
Yeah.
Would tell you, I'm not interested unless I see a real value.
Exactly.
So our role is to push as much as we can to make this success story, to show how lucrative it could be, and then accordingly make them more excited about it. This is what we are trying to do. On the other hand, we're trying to engage the industry as much as possible. We've had an activity together, Omar, a few months ago. We tried to bring on board the biggest manufacturers in Jordan or the biggest people in the mining industry to see what kind of value they can get from people who are working in the green chemistry industry. When they get excited about it and they become clients for these entrepreneurs, that will get the investors more excited, and they would say, you know what, there is a great opportunity out of it. So this is our role. What we're trying to do right now, hopefully it would work and we will be able to do another great success, just like what happened with the ICT industry.
So I really like the fact that you said that actually the connector would be the industry itself, because if they call for this or these products or these services, automatically the investor will say, okay, I'm ready to invest in. Do you see investors actually interested, just to summarize these questions, are they interested within this ecosystem and this era to actually look at sustainability as a dimension nowadays?
Well, I can't say investors. For sure, there are investors. Investors eventually, they're interested in specific sectors. The ICT industry are just in the ICT industry. But there are some investors who are interested in the green sustainability and the green chemistry and this thing that has to do with production, but for good cause and no harm for the environment. I am seeing them. Some impact-based investors are happening right now. There are new funds that are coming to Jordan focusing on impact investment. I'm hoping this would grow. So I can't say all investors. I can say some of the investors are actually interested in that.
Within the value chain, what green chemistry idea or sustainability idea do you see is actually gaining traction in Jordan?
An idea that's getting traction in Jordan, what I have seen honestly recently is the cosmetics industry.
Cosmetics industry.
We receive a lot of applications that are focusing on no harm cosmetics, no chemicals cosmetics, clean cosmetics, which is very interesting, honestly, and that's all from women as well. So maybe this industry is made for women. I don't know. The other industry that we're seeing, or we've been seeing for a long time, but maybe right now it's maturing in a different way, are the ones who are working with recycling. So as I told you, in the past it was all about upcycling or putting the material for a different use. Right now they're just changing it to become actually talking more about how to recycle these materials. We've seen a lot of people thinking about using raw material from the waste, putting it into 3D printing. We've seen a lot of people talking about taking waste, making compost out of it. So it's a lot of things has to do with the recycling of the waste and the material. But the one that I'm seeing a lot is the cosmetics industry.
That's actually interesting because a lot lot of these sectors are actually emerging into sustainability, so they demand a lot of products or raw materials that are considering these dimensions and criterions. If we want to look at the future, if we want to really expand further and to let all these startups really scale up and mature enough and to really compete in the market, whether here or at the global scale, what do you see as crucial enablers that Jordan have to adopt to actually move this forward, whether at the policy level or the technical level, technical readiness and infrastructure, or even in terms of awareness and community and people being aware of what they buy and what they want?
When it comes to the whole ecosystem, we have to do a lot of different things. So the first thing is the education, for sure. We have to work with schools and universities, either through educating them, or we have to educate them more about environment and sustainability. But at the same time, we have to give them the chance to use the labs, to test things by their hands. Access to labs in Jordan, you know, that is a little bit limited. So we need to give them more opportunity to explore things so they can understand actually what does it mean and how they can benefit from it. The other thing is we have to talk about the policies. Jordan has done a great job when it comes to the ICT policy and the startups in the ICT industry. I think we need to look at these as well. We need to start talking about policies that would help manufacturers in general, but as well manufacturers in these sustainable industries when it comes to the raw material, when it comes to the collection, when it comes to the licensing of operating. A lot of regulations are being put. They're not bad, but they need to be modified to be accommodating for the startups, I would say. The other thing that we need to focus on, honestly, in order for us to be able to help those startups and to let's say, expand the ecosystem of sustainability is to bring more investors. I believe we have to get investors from out of Jordan to be excited about investing in these opportunities. How? That's two things. Number one, we have to reconsider our investment opportunity and the policies that we have. The business liquidation, the social security, the labor laws, all of these things are affecting the interest of the investors. So we need to look at that. We need to facilitate that to make the investors more interested in exploring what we have. The second thing is we need to push more success stories. So this is why I believe the grant opportunities that we're offering today, even though they're limited, they're very important because they will put a cornerstone for a success story that would attract investors eventually. And if that didn't happen, honestly, we won't be able to continue. So we need to bring those investors. That would happen through us putting a lot of efforts in creating this success story. I believe it could happen, but we need to keep pushing for that.
These enablers are very crucial, like you've mentioned, de-risking the investment, making sure that the government has better governance to make sure that things are smoother administratively, streamlining procedures, making sure things are very clear and transparent, at the same time getting the startups aware. So startups, if we look at them from the side of, like you've mentioned, grants, seed funds, there are so many things that are there that pushes them to start off and to take off. But then they fail, and they just retrack, or they stay in the cycle of funding and grants. What do you advise startups after getting that grant, after succeeding in a hackathon, and then moving through an accelerator program? What's next? Even if they, let's say, don't win the prize, what's next?
I have to be brutal at this point.
Please do.
The startups, when they apply to several grant opportunities, these grant opportunities are not giving them enough to actually build the business and test it and validate it. Whether it fails or succeeds, that's a different story. But we're giving them a little bit of money that could barely help them build part of their product. So us as organizations, we're not really giving them enough money to do so. And I can't expect them to go build a factory or a workshop with this little type of money that I'm giving
10K or whatever it is.
10K or whatever it is. This is a big challenge. So we have to accept that we're doing a mistake. That's a problem we're doing. Another thing, the entrepreneurs, unfortunately, many of them, they fall in, I would call it a baby syndrome. It's my baby. I can't really let it go. I can't kill it. You have to kill it. It's not your baby. It's just a business idea. You thought of it. It might work. It might not. If it didn't work, kill it fast. Don't wait for someone to tell you, here's another 10K, here's another 5K, just because they want to get numbers for their donors, and you end up being just jumping from one program to another without adding any value. If it's not working, then just let it go. Don't let it stay within let's say, these programs and grant opportunities. Usually I tell my friends and colleagues, this idea is living on the ICU. It's a life support. We shouldn't. Let's kill it. All right? The third aspect is the government and the policy. I believe we have to work harder on that. The policy, whenever we start helping those entrepreneurs in the industry of manufacturing or raw material, we go and face a lot of challenges when it comes to the customs, when it comes to the import, when it comes to the taxes. Those people are not ICT. I can't apply on them the ICT exemptions. And they're getting a lot of interesting opportunities from the manufacturing industry. So why don't we give them a little bit of a leeway when it comes to the regulation or when it comes to the policies that dictates the manufacturing industry? The fourth angle, which I kind of like, I can blame and not blame at the same time, is the industry. That we don't have that much of large manufacturing in Jordan, but we do have them. We need to get them involved. In many cases, honestly, they're facing a challenge of being not interested in collaborating with the scientists because it's just science. We need to show them the value of this science. And at the same time, we need to get the universities to be pushed into talking to these people. There is this, the triple helix of innovation. We need to get that moving somehow. It's not the role of the government only. We can't keep on blaming the government. It's us as organizations. It's academia, pushing the academia as much as possible, pushing the government with the policies part, but as well pushing the industry to be more excited. And this is why, honestly, I love the Royal Scientific Society and the activities they're doing. That's exactly what they're trying to do. In some cases, it happens, it works, and we've seen great factories testing with entrepreneurs and scientists and getting a product to the market. In some cases, it's not working. But if we keep pushing that, and if we get the whole ecosystem of entrepreneurship pushing for that, I believe then we will be able to create the success stories we wanted to see.
It's a collective effort at the end of the day, and I think it's important, like you said, to really change mindsets, to really move ahead, to get everyone to work together and not work for each other. So when we get that mindset induced, I think we can have something really happening. So you see the future green?
I totally see it green, big time.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Mohammed. I really appreciate your insights. This is very crucial. It's a high-level insight that we've taken from you, and with different dimensions and different aspects. And that's how we get the ecosystem really growing and running and rolling. Thank you very much, Mr. Mohammed. I'm really happy to have you here. Thank you, everyone, for joining us at this podcast episode. And there will be more to discuss about green chemistry, sustainability, and how can we drive innovation, industry, and academia to adopt it to benefit the nations and the globe. Thank you, and see you in the next episode.